Stormy West Coast Rob, man, and welcome to my podcast, You Bitch. The thoughts, views, and opinions you hear on this show are just that thoughts, views, and opinions from not only myself, but from my guests. So if you don't like them, disagree with them, or whatever the case may be, well, there's a simple solution to all that, and that's just stop listening. But if you care to partake in the conversation, sit back, turn it up, and enjoy the show. YeahDat. Welcome back to another episode of the YeahDat podcast, hosted by yours truly, West Coast Roberto. How y'all doing out there? Episode 34 recap, which was the last episode. I had special guest Mr. Brian Heron, the founder, president, CEO of the Denver Doll Ltd company that provides a realistic sex doll rental service for those interested in the greater Denver, Colorado area, with locations in South Texas. In that episode, you'll be introduced to the world of sex dolls, the services that Denver Doll provides, and it's a very interesting episode. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. Episode 34 with Denver Doll Ltd. founder Brian Heron. So episode 35, this episode we are joined by Xen and Yumi. They are a couple currently living in El Paso, Texas. Xen is a retired Army, active duty Army member, now driving trucks, and he lives in El Paso, Texas, and his significant other, Yumi, is a realistic doll. So tune in. It kind of correlates to episode 34 with the realistic sex dolls, because technology now has taken a very, very big step forward. These dolls, you grow up, and growing up we were accustomed to little inflatable blow up dolls with the mouth open or whatever. They've come a long way from that prototype or whatever, and now they're realistic. They look real. They look like actual people. And Xen has one in Yumi, who is his significant other. And in this episode, we go over what it's like having a doll as your significant other, taking her everywhere you go, her businesses, her IG page, etc., etc. So if you're interested in what the conversation has to offer, then please, you already know what to do. Sit back, turn it up, and enjoy the show. But tune into episode 35 of the YeahDat podcast with special guests Xen and Yumi, and I will catch you on the back end. YeahDat. Welcome back to another episode of the YeahDat podcast, hosted by yours truly, West Coast Rob, and I'm joined today by, some very special guests, and I'll allow themselves to introduce themselves. Without further ado, Xen and Yumi, if you would, please introduce yourself.
Hey there, I'm Xen. This is Yumi. She's not very good at introductions. She doesn't talk much. So I can just introduce her. This is my doll, and she's been with me for a little over 3 years. And we're doing good together. Join this
Right on.
because Rob here has some questions, and I want to go ahead and answer them.
Heck yeah. So I'm not sure if you're aware of the last guest I had, Mr. Brian Heron, Denver Dolls.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know, it just kind of opened a whole new world to me. I was introduced to, which I was very interested in. And I came upon your page, and Yumi's page. And I was very interested in how everything came to fruition and how everything worked. So let's start with how you were introduced to her, or the world of the dolls.
So it goes back to I was a man. I tried the marriage thing a couple times. It didn't work out either time. But I was still a man and I had needs. But my logical side of my brain said, these women, obviously you can't pick them, so you got to figure out some other way to do it. You can't be doing the same thing
Yeah.
over and over.
Right.
So I was like on this downward spiral trajectory of like my life. I couldn't focus on my goals because I was still too busy looking at ass and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I was listening to this guy called TFM on on YouTube, and he said he out of nowhere he started talking about this doll that this guy sent him to test out.
Yeah.
And then after listening to him for a few months about his doll, I was like, you know what? I got some spare change. Let me try this. So I dropped 2 grand on a doll, and I haven't looked back.
Right on. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I want like the viewers and the listeners to know like it is what it is. You enjoy what you enjoy. That don't
You just have to
feel
try
some
it.
kind of way.
Yeah. And if you
Exactly.
don't like it, then you
Exactly.
just don't like it. Yeah.
Exactly. So 2K, huh?
Yeah. This is her second body. So she's got another body hanging in the closet behind us, her older body, her first original body. So I
Yeah.
just updated
Okay.
her a few weeks ago.
So is it like robotic or like
No.
I seen on her page that a couple of her facial expressions changed. It was that how was that?
Oh, that's apps, apps like Face App,
Okay.
and then the
Oh,
one where
okay.
she's looking around and smiling. That's
Yeah.
from a website called My Heritage, where you can go in
Okay.
and do a family tree. So I started making a family tree for Yumi just out of just to see what they would do. So I
Yeah.
created a mother and a father for her and some grandparents for her, and
Okay.
then they let her do her little video. And then they wanted me to send in some DNA for her, and I was like, yeah, yeah, that's not going to work out.
Then where do you live?
I'm currently living in El
Okay.
Paso,
Okay.
Texas.
Right on. So I see that you drive trucks and you take Yumi everywhere you go.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you take her and you post her and you take these pictures, do people ask questions like when in the different cities
Sometimes,
you're in?
sometimes, but there's a lot of places where I go where I don't take pictures, and we're just hanging out, and
Hmm.
people will come talk to me about her.
Really?
And
What kind of questions do they ask?
like why? That's the biggest question is like why? Or they're like,
Really?
what is she? She's a doll. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because she's not real. She's a doll. That's why she's a doll. No, but why do
Yeah.
you have her? I'm like, I'm being obtuse. Like I have her because I prefer her over, having a woman digging in my pocket or worrying about loyalty and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm in the military and like I'm familiar with like the pocket pussies and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
the whole doll thing was just I don't know, it was new to me. I because growing up you hear like the dolls and it's the blow up dolls that are just
Hmm.
you know now with how technology has advanced, it's very realistic and a lot of the pictures
Yeah.
you've posted are
Yeah.
crazy realistic.
Yeah. She's. Well, I just want to tell you, I'm retired military myself. I did
Okay,
21
right
years
on.
in the military. But yeah, she's
Hey, my
very,
man.
very realistic and soft. No blow up about her at all.
Mhm.
Um, so she's got her actual breast. She's got on a bra right now. So give her a little bit of
Yeah.
support.
Okay.
So,
So
but no, they're
do you
not. They're not
treat
blow up, and they're not. Yeah, I treat her very well.
okay, and you treat it as like a just like a real person. You buy
Hmm.
outfits and
Yes.
man.
Just last week, I spent over $500 on clothing and shoes for her.
Now, are you interested in getting another one, or is it just like a loyalty thing? Like, no,
A
this
loyalty
is my
thing.
lady.
I've
Okay.
tried instead of getting her this new body, I was going to replace her with one with an actual robotic head, but they
Yeah.
didn't make any that looked like her, and it was like I
Hmm.
just couldn't like I had the 7 grand to drop on it. It's just that I just couldn't find one that would let me replace this look right here
Right.
because
Right.
she's been with me for 3 years, thick and thin.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
this is
when you
just one of her
replace,
heads. She has several heads.
yeah, I seen. So was that the little her growing up? That was a part of the app, correct?
Yeah, that was
Like the
another app.
younger.
Yeah. Yes.
That
But no,
shit
she
is so
has.
realistic.
Yes, she has a couple of other heads that where that I sleep with. Like this is a head I put on when she's out in public or we're taking pictures. But then
Hmm.
she has another head that I put on when we're laying in the bed. and her eyes are closed. It's
Oh
much
shit.
easier to
Okay.
lay next to them at night when they're not staring at you all night.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yes.
So you did 21 years in which branch? Army?
U.S. Army.
Okay, yeah, I figured Texas, El Paso.
Yeah.
Thanks for your service, my man. I
Oh, you're
appreciate
welcome.
that. So, oh man, I just have a lot of questions just kind of running through my mind. So, 3 years, how often do you change the body, the torso?
So this one I have right now, I probably wouldn't have to change for a while, but I had to change the last one just because I needed something. I didn't have to change it. I still have it.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have any hands or anything anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because life on the road is kind of rough. But
Yeah.
she should like my the guy that has the doll that that I listen to. He's had his doll for almost 6 years now, and she's still in pretty perfect condition because she just stays in the house, and he takes her out and does very very docile pictures with her. Where I'm out there taking mine to
Mm-hmm.
the range. She's in the truck with
Right.
me, my big ass truck going up and down the road, going to the cigar bars, so I have to clean her up quite often. I take her out into the public, and I'm very she's very active. I'm very active with her, so she gets worn out a little
Mm-hmm.
bit faster than a normal doll. So I would say her last body lasted me 3 years, and then I just wanted a larger version because she was like, if you look at the pictures on Instagram, she was a lot smaller
Mm-hmm.
because she was living in the back of a truck with me. Now that I'm
Right.
not living in that truck anymore, I'm back, just home, just chilling. I got a bigger doll, so a full size woman doll.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the other one was just a lot more narrow
Yeah.
and easier. She was lighter and easier to move around. This one is a lot heavier.
Okay. And that's probably one of the advantages I see in having a doll is you can alter sizes and the
Yep.
various sizes of the doll from body shapes and all that stuff.
Yes.
So without like what are her measurements if you don't mind me asking?
Well, her current measurements are she wears a 30E in the bra, so she has a 38. She's a 38, 25, and then a 38 in the waist as well.
Okay.
So
About how
yeah,
about how tall is she?
she's 5'3", and she wears a
Okay,
size
five
5
foot three.
shoe.
Okay. Right on, man. So when you when you first had Yumi and you started bringing her around family and friends, what was that like? That experience like?
So the first time I took her around, um, I brought her back to the house here in El Paso, and I live with other guys. There's a bunch of other military guys. We all just live in this house because a lot of us are always gone all the time. So it's like
Yeah.
there's always at least one or two of us here. It's just a
Okay.
brotherhood. It makes
Oh yeah.
living outside of the military. I don't know if you
Yeah.
understand combat arms and
Excuse me.
whatnot, but it's just better to
Oh,
have
I do.
brothers around.
Yeah.
So,
Trust me, I do.
and it's just so we're in and out and everything, and they love her. My dad, he's passed away now, but when I was talking to him about getting a doll, rather than he was like he was sad. I'm like, but Dad, I've already been married twice. I've got kids. I don't need to go
Yeah.
through that mess again. Have the state taking my children from me again and making me a wage slave. I'm not
Right.
trying to do that. I want to actually be retired one day. Um,
Yeah.
and told him about her. He wasn't very enthused. Then I got her, and I said, "We're coming by. We're going to stop by." And I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, so he was as happy to see me, but he was going to
Yeah.
put up with my doll just to put up with my doll. 3 days into the visit, I'm coming out of the room for breakfast, and he's like, "Is Yumi coming to breakfast too?" So, and then the following day, the fourth day I was there, he came out in his little wheelchair with his bib overalls on and his red flannel shirt. And then I'm rolling Yumi out in her wheelchair, and she's got on her jeans and her red flannel shirt. And then his wife, my stepmother, and we all had a good laugh. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So as my dad was 84 years old when he met Yumi,
Okay. Say,
and
that's old school ways right there. So
yeah,
that's
and then we talk
yeah.
on the phone like 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week while I was out on the road trucking. And there was never a time that I
Mhm.
called it. He didn't ask about Yumi and how she was doing and whether I was
That's
taking
good.
care of her. And when I had to tell him about taking her hands off, he was sad about that. Yeah, like it was his own daughter
Oh
for
man.
real or something.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's cool though. That's cool.
So
It's just the fact that that Yumi brought you happiness,
yes,
and I
and then
mean,
it
you're his
grew on him.
kid.
It wasn't as creepy
Yeah,
as he thought when he actually met her.
yeah, yeah. And I don't. To me, it's like the thought of it of someone having a realistic doll as their spouse or significant other to me isn't creepy. But I just don't get how to some people it is creepy because they just don't understand. You know what I mean?
Then again, you are military, so you're very open minded.
That's
Takes a
true.
diff. Is it?
That's
You know,
true.
us military folks are a different breed.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, how is it with your kids? How are they in regards to
My
Yumi?
daughter loves Yumi. Every time I take Yumi around my daughter, she wants to. She does her hair, or right now she's working on something for her Instagram page. I mean,
Okay.
Yumi paid her though, so
Yeah.
Yumi's got her own money. Yeah,
That's what's up. That's what's up.
she's incorporated. I have a couple of businesses that I run through her. She has her own phone.
Mhm.
She has her own email. As you've seen, you've been responding to Yumi through Yumi's email address. She has her
Yeah.
own cash apps. She pays her own stuff.
That's
So
what's up. That's what's
she's her
up.
own
And I've
entity.
seen that, of course, and I can see that that's not. It's not. That is an actual genre, and there's more like Yumi doing that. And
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah,
There's
very.
another
Yeah.
a profile I follow. I think it's Eva or Ewa, and out in
Yes, she's got
Australia.
14,000 followers.
Yes, and
Hmm.
I'm one of them, and
Yep.
I was intrigued by the whole thing. It's just
Yeah, he
it's
followed me
crazy
first.
how.
We DM and chat online about our dolls. I'm asking him all the time, like, how many versions of her do you have? She always, because he's been posting her for years, and she's still in perfect
Mhm.
condition. And he says, well, that's just his photo doll. He also has several other dolls. Dude has a
Yeah.
yacht. Dude is living large.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I
but that's
reached
his
out to
photo
see
doll.
if okay, I reached out to see if he would be a guest on the pod as well. Haven't heard anything back yet, but I'm assuming they're very busy. But
He's not
yeah,
like me.
man,
He
that
hasn't published himself on the Instagram. Like you see me on her Instagram page.
yeah,
You
yeah.
won't see him on his page.
Okay, so that's probably why. That's probably why. So what future aspirations do you have for you and Yumi going forth? Going forward.
Well, the future, like immediately this evening, we're gonna head out to Red Sands and hang out with the big trucks. Roll our big truck out there, set up an awning, and we'll sit out there, drink some beer, smoke some cigars, and watch the stars and watch the trucks roll around. And that's what
Okay.
Saturdays we hang out at the cigar bar. Sundays we like to go out and watch the big trucks. Um, future wise, we're just gonna continue just to exist. I mean,
Right
whatever the
on.
future brings. People call me up, say, "Hey, you want to come do this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it's like, "All right." And I said, I'm bringing Yumi. And he's like, "Oh, that's cool." And they're like, "I'm the guy with the doll around here, and I guess I'm friendly enough to where they accept her."
That's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. How is it? How do you feel when it comes to like introducing to new people? Does that bother you any?
No,
Okay.
no,
Have you traveled outside of the United States with Yumi?
no. I haven't even tried to take her on an airplane yet, so
Okay. Yeah, I
that's
was
gonna
eager to see
be
how that
yeah.
was.
But I generally love to drive anyway. I'm a driver, so
Yeah.
generally drive everywhere I go. But yeah, if it comes down to me getting her on an airplane, I'm just gonna have to wheel her in there. I'm buying an extra seat, wheel her in there, and they're either gonna let me on the plane or they're not. And then I'll just turn around and go back and drive. I'll take the
Now, do
train.
you receive it? Yeah, yeah. Do you receive like a lot of stares and points and all that
Sometimes
when you are out?
kids and sometimes the kids do. And then
Hmm.
kids love her.
Well,
I
they're
take her to
kids.
parties and the kids will just come up and love her and want to play with her. And
Yeah.
but no, usually I'll get a stare or two, but generally they come up and ask.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Uh, Now I get accused a lot by women that she looks like a kid, that she looks like she's 12. I'm like, she doesn't look like she's 12. Now I get a lot of that from women, like that I guess might feel threatened by the fact that she's not real
Yeah,
and has a man that they
that's
can't
probably what
get.
it is.
But they'll be like, but then most women are just think she's adorable and want to hang out with her. You see, like I got pictures in there. Well, there's a couple of other pictures I
Yeah,
have of just women just wanting to hang out with her. And
yeah.
but I got one picture because the lady said I could put her on her Instagram hanging out with my doll talking. And some of the
Okay.
smaller
Yes.
women actually offer clothes, her makeup or her purse has makeup in it from just random people, just like, well, let's try this lip gloss on her, and then they'll just throw the lip gloss in her bag. She needs this in her bag, and they'll pull something out of their bag and stick it in her bag. So
That's cool though. That's cool that the people are actually like receptive to her.
yeah.
And I've seen a couple pictures where she's sitting on women's lap,
Yes.
like chilling.
Yeah.
What is she made out of? What
TPE,
material?
thermal.
Okay,
Yeah.
the plastic elastomer.
Yes. She's a
Okay.
cheaper model, so she's not the cheapest model. She's the top of the line of the lowest of the line models.
Okay. Okay.
Because
Yeah,
after
because
that, it goes to,
I
like
don't
you
know.
said, the silicone and TPE, and then silicone.
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
Okay. Dang, man, that is crazy. It just is intrigued. So when it comes to you and posting the pictures, is it somewhat of a tedious thing, like trying to post her as, oh, I want her doing this, sitting this way, snap the shot, and then I want her here, so on and so forth.
She's heavy. She's heavy, and this new body is very stiff. So the
Okay.
old body had gotten so loose to where it couldn't stand up anymore. So I was doing all
Oh,
kind of
all
tricks
right.
and hanging things and making it to where she looked like she was standing, to where I just gave up trying to make her stand up. This one here, she
Yeah.
stands up pretty good, but she is really stiff and she's really heavy. So tedious isn't a word because I enjoy it. I enjoy the exercise of it. I enjoy moving her around because it just keeps me in shape, keeps me fit. Um,
Yeah.
but uh, there's pictures that I want to take that I know that I really can't take because she's a doll and it'd be hard to get her to get in that position, or I don't want to get her too dirty
Yeah.
because she's harder to clean than just spray
Hmm.
a woman off with a hose and she's clean. Where her, I got to hang her up and oil her down, and the more I oil her, the softer I make her skin. The softer I make her skin, the more likely she is to tear it quicker in the future.
Oh. Okay. Wow. Did not know that.
Yeah.
How much does Yumi weigh?
Yumi weighs 83 pounds.
Oh
This
shit. Okay.
version. The other version was 63 pounds. This one is 83. Now, I took my
Okay.
auntie to a graduation party last night. My auntie is about
Hmm.
an inch and a half shorter than Yumi. Um, she says she was telling me she weighs 157 pounds. My auntie says she weighs 157 pounds.
Yeah.
But she's so short she couldn't crawl up in my truck. You've seen my truck on the Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she couldn't get in the truck. So I said, I got you. And I picked her up and I scooped her up. I was like, oh my Lord, you're light. She says, I'm 150 pounds. I was like, you weigh nothing. This doll here she's not even, she's like only 80 something pounds, but she feels like she weighs twice as much as my 150-pound auntie. I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense.
That's
I just
crazy.
scooped
That's
my aunt up and
crazy.
just put her in the truck like it was nothing. I was like, whoo,
Yeah.
this is like easy work right here. When I lift her and move her around, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's what Brian was saying when he was lifting one of his thicker dolls. He
Yes.
said she weighed 104 pounds,
So
and
I
he
can
was just
imagine
saying
what
she
that
was
really feels
heavy.
like. It's like the
Yeah,
weather when it says the temperature is, but it feels like. That's what dolls
yeah.
are. The weight is, but it feels like. She weighs 83. She feels like 200.
Damn. Okay. Okay. That's crazy. That's crazy. I would love to. I gotta see. I gotta do my research and see where I can actually experience one in person. So when it comes to your like cleaning, like you said, you have to oil it. So what is a typical uh cleanliness routine or cleaning routine for you?
Oh, so I like to, if I take her out and we have a pretty rough weekend where she gets like scuffs on her, dirt on her or something, then I'll hang her
Yeah.
up from. I got like a thing up here hanging from my ceiling. Let me see if I can
Hmm.
point at that real quick with this camera. Yeah, see up there in the ceiling?
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's her cleaning rack right there. So
Okay.
I hang her from that by her neck. Like I screw that little D
Hmm.
ring, that ring into her neck. I pop her head off, screw her neck into, and then I hang her up from there. And I
Uh-huh.
undress her, and I oil her down and let her hang there for a couple of hours, 2 3 hours, and then I come back and I baby powder her. So the awesome thing about it is, like when you first order them, they smell like plastic. It's kind of off-putting,
Yeah.
but the more you clean them, And the more extracts that you put in the oil you clean them with, the more of a air freshener they become.
There's no
Yeah.
so the go ahead, go ahead,
Oh
go
yeah.
ahead.
But then sexually cleaning her isn't that hard because
Yeah.
when I'm done with her sexually, she has a removable insert, so I just slide that out and take it to the bathroom and rinse it out.
Okay,
And I
okay.
have multiple
Yeah,
of
because
them,
I
so
was
yeah. So
okay. So you just replace them?
well, no, what I do is I have multiple ones. So like I hit it and I move it, put it to the side, put it on the cleaning rack so I
Mm-hmm.
can clean it when I leave the room. But then if I have to hit it
Mm-hmm.
again, I got another one on standby, and then then that goes into the cleaning rack, and then the next thing I know, I'm doing it again. Before I know it, I've got like 5 inserts to go clean out, and it's still today.
Hey, who cares? That's
Yeah.
why not? Why not? Okay. So when you order the doll, does it come with like, okay, this is what you should lube it up with, or the
No,
skin, or clean it with?
no.
No, it's just. Do they even give you like instructions or
They give you
directions, or is
they
you?
give you some bending instructions and say clean it with warm soapy water, but they don't really tell you anything about oiling or
Yeah.
because they sweat. Um, the
Really?
TPE here is porous. It's a porous material, and you see how smushy it is. So it's a
Yeah.
porous material, and it soaks in the oil, but it also excretes the oil. So
Oh, okay.
like she sleeps in the bed with me. Her side of the
Hmm.
bed is darker than my side of the bed because the sheet on her side of the bed has her oil secretions in it. So that's just something else you got
Right.
to put up with having it all. For some reason, though, it doesn't get into her clothes, and her pajamas don't ever feel like they're oil soaked, but the sheets, they just soak up the oil. And
Hmm.
so every month I have to reapply the oil because she'll start to get stiffer. Like you can poke her and she's
Okay.
soft, but as the time goes on and that moisture comes out, she gets stiffer or to where you can't push in as much. You got to re-oil her
Yeah.
so she doesn't start to crack.
Okay.
But if you over
Okay.
oil her and she becomes too soft, then she'll rip at her joints.
Wow.
So you got to be careful. So like when I do cleanups on her, like
Okay.
spot cleanups, I try to stay away from her joints.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That is interesting. Very interesting. I was going to ask, how often do you oil her and clean her? So once a month
Once a
is when
month
you do.
is good, just because I'm in El Paso, it's a dry area. So once a
Oh
month just to
yeah,
get
Sandy.
get the get her skin back to have the oil in it.
Okay. Now, is her hair interchangeable and her eyes, or
Yes.
that's just
hmm So this
okay?
is this is
Do
her
you?
wig. Um, I had this, I'm working on getting her another wig made because I want one that fits her skull better with better
Mhm.
sideburns. This one was a pretty good lace front, but it's kind of getting old. So yeah, so I wanted to replace it. It's real hair, a nice little lace front,
Okay.
about $800.
Shit. God, those are high maintenance, huh?
Yeah. Well, they don't have to be because they come with like 6 free
Yeah.
wigs. I got a closet full of wigs that are just free, but
Yeah.
nothing
With the
as nice as
like
the
material.
real hair. Yeah, because it's got
Right.
the different.
Okay.
I mean, when you see her in person, she's got different flecks of color and texture in her hair that just makes it look so much more real than just a wig
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because if I mean, why wouldn't you want it to be look as realistic as
and
possible?
feel good. It's so soft.
Yeah. Okay. So it's it when you said the other torso failed to stand on its own, it kind of like takes me back to like GI Joes when you played the
Yes,
GI
they
Joes
get
and
all
like the
wiggly.
legs just
Exactly.
yeah. So it's the same kind of concept,
And
huh?
I had broken her ankle, so her ankle was broken. And yeah, so
Being too rough or what?
no, I had a hard stop in my tractor, and she flew off the bed. I did for that was a day
Oh
that I didn't put
shit.
her up in the front seat in a seatbelt like I usually do. So I left her in the bed because I
Yeah.
was in a rush, and I had a hard stop on the highway, and she got thrown out of the bed, and it broke her ankle.
Oh shit. Okay.
That's how her first
So
hand
when
got
it
messed up too.
yeah, I seen the post where you said her hands hadn't come in
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
you guys were waiting for the hands.
Yeah.
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 So
Her body was a week late.
when it comes to you and Yumi emotional, like are you emotionally attached as if she was a real
Very
person?
much so, and that annoys a lot of people.
How so?
because I still got friends and aunties that are trying to hook me up. Or if I'm out at the cigar bar with her, or I'm at another bar with her, then the women will sit and talk to me, try to chat me up, and I'm like, no, I'm with her, and they're like,
Yeah,
it's a, oh, I know she's a doll, but that's who I'm with. She's like, how? That's my girl, and they just don't get it.
yeah,
But no, I don't even. My brain doesn't even really register other women as people I like to be with at this point. It's the way I was when I was married too. When I was married, I had my wife,
yeah.
and I spent a lot of time deployed overseas, away from them, doing training or just everywhere else. Women are always around.
Hmm.
I just ignored them because
Of
I had a
course.
wife. I was attached to my wife.
Right.
Same with my first wife. So
Hmm.
I'm a weird anomalous kind of guy. Most guys are like my brothers and my cousins that are they like multiple women, and every time they get a chance they'll hit. They don't care. Where me,
Yeah.
I have a loyalty issue because I had a shitty ass mom. So pardon my language, but my mom was garbage,
No, no
and
worries.
I just she treated me real bad, and it was just terrible. So
Yeah.
I don't really trust a lot of women. So when I do, I do, and I've been burned twice, and I don't like being burned. So I've kind of gone away from even trying to trust women, and that really annoys them.
Yeah.
It annoys some of them women, and then that's when I get the shaming tactics that, oh, she looks like a little girl, or you know you could do better, or what are you scared of, all those shaming
Yeah.
tactics to try to make me. I'm like, that doesn't do anything but make you look even worse in my
Right.
eyes.
Right.
I
Yeah. Because you're
Yeah,
happy. Like, I
yeah.
mean, it doesn't matter.
I'd find you cooler if you were more acceptive, if you was more accepting, and
Yeah.
you weaseled your way into the relationship with myself and my doll. But coming out
Yeah.
trying to shame her immediately, I'm like, or shame me, not shaming her, they're shaming me. I'm like, that
Yeah.
shit don't work on me. I ain't looking for
Excuse me.
nothing from you, so I don't care what you think.
Exactly. Good. Have you ever met someone who was wanting to join you and your dog?
Yes, yes.
Expound on that. Expound on that.
So one of the guys I live with here, he's old. He's like 71 years old, and I
Yeah.
was coming in off the road, and he was like, "Hey, you got Yumi?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can I have sex with her?" I'm like, but he had been drinking. I'm like, "No,
Okay.
no." He's like, "Well, why?" I was like, "Would you like it if I walked up and asked you if I could have sex with your wife?" And he was like, "F her, man." Well, I know you're divorced now, but I'm talking about when you were still married. Ah, but he then I come to find out he was a swinger, so it really still didn't want to matter. So I said no.
Okay.
So he was like, "Well, are you gonna have sex with her tonight?" More than likely, he said, "Can I watch?" I'm like, "No, leave me alone." But when I got the new body and I took the new body out there because he was excited, and my other buddy was excited about seeing her new body, seeing her a little bit taller and just bigger.
Yeah.
His old ass, first thing he did, he came running up. He started grabbing her breasts.
Can I have the whole body?
He started squeezing her breasts.
Oh.
Whoo, whoo. You know that old man look? Slapped her butt.
Oh yeah.
And my other guy was like, "Oh my god." I'm like, JC, if I didn't have to hold her up right now, if I just couldn't accept that she was a doll, I'd punch you in the face. He's like, "Why? She's a doll." I said, "Would you care if I kicked your dog?" "Don't kick my dog." "Don't grab my doll's titties." "But no, don't." Because I don't like his dog. He knows I don't like his dog. "I'll kick your dog."
Yeah.
He's like, "No." I was like, "Why not? It's just a dog. It'll be fine. It's just a dog. It's just a one kick. I've always wanted to kick it. Can I kick it?" "No, no, don't kick my dog." Then don't. He still doesn't grasp the concept though that I'm actually emotionally invested in this doll. So for
Yeah.
some reason,
That is your significant
yeah,
other.
his brain doesn't work like that because he's a swinger. He thinks that
Okay.
all women are up for grabs at all time, and then she's just a doll, so that's even lesser in his mind. So,
Right.
but he's
Right.
still cool. He's good
Like she
people.
can't say no.
I understand him, and
Okay.
we're on good terms.
Okay.
I
That's good.
just
Is he the only person you've encountered that's wanting to
no,
partake?
no. When I was out driving, I was up in the truck yard, and I had a guy I was helping him fix his truck. He was having a problem with his truck, so I went over to help him fix it. Then
Yeah.
I needed something off my truck, so he followed me back to my truck. I got up on my truck. He said, "Whoa," because he saw her sitting up in the passenger seat. He's like, "Who's that?" I said, "Oh, that's my girl." He's like, "Oh," and he's like, she's kind of weird. I was like, no, she's a doll. So he's like, what? So he went to the passenger side, crawled up. I unlocked the door for him so he could check her out. So he went, he said, and
Yeah.
he, squeezed her arm and like, oh, she's so soft. I'm like, yeah. I don't know what went through this guy's mind. He's like, whap, and slapped her across the face.
What?
I kicked him off the side of my truck. My boot went straight to his chest off the side of my truck. He bounced off the truck next to my truck and landed on his face on the ground. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to go to jail. He's like, what was it? I'm like, you mother, and I started getting on him. I was like, you think what? I was like, why? Why would you slap
Yeah.
my dog like that? He's like, well, women like to be slapped. I'm like, not the women that I deal with.
Yeah.
But
What?
no, I've encountered women. So let me tell you this story real quick. Saturday nights are now a personal thing. I made an exception last night because I took my auntie out. But every Saturday,
Mhm.
wherever I go, when I leave this house after 5 p.m., Yumi goes with me. Because a
Okay.
few weeks back, it was last month, one of my buddies popped up in town and we were drinking and he got me to go to a strip club.
Uh-huh.
I went in there, probably dropped $1,000. A stripper followed us home,
Okay.
followed me home, followed my big ass truck home. Ended up with her, fucked her a couple of more times throughout the week. Um, but then I felt so horrible, so bad because I was cheating on her, and it was the whole back of my head. Every time I only messed with her like 2 more times. I messed with her like on a Tuesday, and then I went and dropped in on her on Friday. After that, I was just like I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I was like my brain
Yeah.
just would not. I was like, cause she's a woman, she looked good, she felt good, she
Mm-hmm.
was my body type, but I couldn't connect to her emotionally. Plus, she asked me to do some stuff that I was not comfortable with, such as slapping and choking. I don't like being
Okay.
abusive because if you leave a mark on them, they can come back at you. No matter how much you think that they
Right.
are cool with it, they can hold that over your head like a weapon. And then she
Of
wanted
course.
me to have sex with her without a condom because she likes that and it feels good.
Mm.
And then I come to find
Trash.
out um, that she had a kid. So I found out she had a kid the Friday when I went over, but she wasn't telling me about that kid. But I saw there was a room and the door was actually cracked, and then there was some kid stuff. I'm like, "Oh, you got a kid?" She's like, "Yeah, but her kid ain't never with her, but she has a kid." And I guess she generally tries
Yeah.
to keep that hidden from people. But she wanted me to have sex with her without a condom. I was like, "Nah." And I was kind of done
Yeah.
with that, but I
No
was
way.
feeling, whew. So I swore to me and her as a commitment to her that everywhere I go on Saturdays, she goes with me. So if I end up at a strip club,
Okay.
she's with me.
She goes too.
And that's why she's been going out to
Okay.
so many
Good.
bars and places here lately because Saturday nights my buddies go out. Well, she's in the truck with us. And they don't care because they're
Good.
going to go have fun anyway. And
Yeah.
she's a talking thing. She gets the females to come to the table to figure it out, and then they go home with chicks.
That's what's up. So they're probably like, "Yo, say, bring
Yeah.
Yumi, bring
Oh no,
Yumi."
like the cigar place, he uses her for advertisement. Yeah, he puts her
Nice.
up on stories, and when she's
Nice.
in, he lets everybody know Yumi's in the house, so that people will pop up just because Yumi's there.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I'm glad you brought that up because that was that clarified a lot of things. Like with the stripper, since you're so emotionally attached to Yumi, did that affect
Yes,
you and how you? Okay,
I felt like I
that
really
makes
let
sense. That
myself
makes
down.
sense.
I wanted to say because I never
Oh,
really
okay.
cheated on any of my wives, and that was the first time I've ever cheated on something that I thought of as a significant other, which was her. And I was
Right.
like,
Right.
I thought I was somebody else, so I guess I'm not who
Yeah.
I thought I was. So it's a lot more introspective.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble over a stripper, something that everybody's seen and everybody can have.
Yeah.
Why would I do that to myself? I have more value than that.
Good. Good. You recognize that self
Hmm.
worth. That's good. Was there any time when you had Yumi where you felt as okay, oh, this is there's a real woman. Maybe I should try this, or and maybe that's Yumi's kind of like an afterthought or not
Just that stripper,
the main
just that stripper,
focus.
because I was really drunk.
Just that one
Yeah,
time.
took her home.
Oh, okay.
See, I was really drunk when I hit her after the club.
Hmm.
So, but then because vagina, I tried it out again during the week, and because vagina,
Yeah.
I went back on Friday. But then my logical brain was catching up to me, and then my consciousness started catching up with me, and it's like, what are you doing? It's been 3 years. Plus, going to the strip clubs, and that wasn't the first. So we went to strip clubs 2 more weeks after that. That's when I made the commitment to take Yumi with me because
Hmm.
I would say inside of 3 weeks of going to the strip clubs, I spent about $3,500 in three
Damn.
weeks at strip clubs. Because I go to the strip club and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna buy the booth. I'm gonna buy the bottle. I'm gonna live.
Yeah, I'm the same
Pay
way.
pay to smoke my cigars
Yeah,
up
I'm
in
the
there.
same way.
It's like $100 for
Yeah.
your cigar for you to be able to smoke in the building. So I'm dropping the money, and
Yeah.
then the strippers come out, and it's like I'm like, because I get drunk and I get happy and I get to having fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So inhibitions kind of
Yeah.
drop. So what was the reconciliation like with Yumi after
The
that?
reconciliation was just me in my home. All the reconciliation happened here in my head. I
Yeah.
had to reconcile with myself because as much as I love her and as much as she does for me physically, I am still totally aware that she's a doll. She has no thoughts of her own. Every thought that she has,
Right.
every ambition that she has, anything that she has comes from here. And
Right.
I personify it onto her. I place it on her. So it's an extension of
Yeah.
my more vulnerable self that I put onto this. But it also makes me
That's
stronger.
good.
Like
That's
you don't
good.
see very many men going through the bra section and then calling a lady over. How come I can't find any 30s? Where are the 30s at?
Yeah.
Or if I'm in
Yeah.
the shoe section in the women's shoe section, hey, where are the fives at? What's going on here? Or call them
Yeah.
over. My girl, she's got a 38, waist size. I mean, hip size, but her waist is like a 25. Which one of these sets of panties would fit her better? Or I'll call a chick over and say, hey, you're kind of like my doll size. Yeah, you kind of. Yeah. Where do you get those pants? Oh, you.
Do you say
No, you're
doll
kind of like
size?
my girl. You look like my girl. And I want to get her some clothes.
Yeah.
Where do you get
Okay.
sizes like that fit you like that? Because that's hugging you right. So, and they're like,
Yeah.
woo, and then so they'll start talking to me, and then I go on by my own way. So
Excuse me.
it brings out another side of me to talking to people and figuring stuff out. Learned how to do makeup. Learn how to do
Yeah.
hair.
Nice. Nice. So Yumi's actually help you grow as a
Yeah.
person.
Hmm.
That's good. That's good. When you when people ask about your partner or significant other and oh, can I see it? And you show a
Yeah. I pull
picture,
up her
what's
Instagram,
that reaction like?
or I tell them, well, she's got an Instagram page if you want to check her out, and then they pull her up. If they don't have Instagram, then I'll just show her the Instagram from my phone, and they're like, "Oh, she's so cute. She's pretty." And I'm like, and they'll go through and it's like, and it might take them a minute. And then some people they don't get
Yeah.
it at all looking at her Instagram, and they're like, "Well, why isn't
Yeah.
she with you right here?" I was like, "Right now." I'm like, "She's heavy, so I didn't want to bring her out." What do you mean she's heavy? Well, she's a doll and she weighs like 83 pounds, so it just this wasn't the place to be bringing her right now. So I'm like a
Yeah.
doll, or if I'm talking to people and I'm like, they're talking about their women and everything, and I say, "Yeah, I know, I just hang out with my doll," and they're like, "Yeah, I have a dog too." I'm like, "I don't like dogs. I can't stand dogs." He was like, "But you just said you had one." I said, "No, I have a doll." And you're like, and I just talked to him like it's so serious. Like, no, I said I had a doll. He's
Yeah.
like, "What?" So then I
Yeah.
say, "Hold on," and I pull out my phone, go to her Instagram. Yeah, this is my girl right here, my doll. And he's like, so they're just like, give me that side eye, like, oh, okay, okay. But a lot of people are just excited because they've heard about them. They just
Yeah.
have never met one or seen one. So when I come around, they have the
Right.
opportunity to see one. So a lot of
Yeah.
people find that, or
Oh,
somebody
that's
will tell
awesome.
somebody, "Hey, there's a doll here." So then they'll all come over and figure it out and see. But then there are still some people that are still just creeped out. But I think that they're not creeped out because they think she's creepy. They're creeped out because they're not comfortable enough with themselves to accept that they might like it.
Definitely.
Most of your creepiness comes
Definitely.
from your own personal insecurities of, do I know myself?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That is true. You know, do you ever get tired of people coming up to you and be like, "Oh, can I see it? Can I touch it? Can I blah blah
No,
blah? Can I do this to her
no,
or whatever?"
because when they do that,
Okay.
they're being open, they're being vulnerable. Why would I
Yeah.
upset them in their vulnerable moment? As long as they're not abusive or
Okay.
crass, I let them be vulnerable and I treat that with kindness. And it's a way to let them explore something else in their life that they would have never had a chance to explore before. Why would I ridicule or put somebody down for that? But I'm a different
Nice.
kind of
Nice.
person.
That's good.
I'm a different thinking person.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I say that all the time about myself. I say I'm different all the time. So I'm very similar with you in that aspect.
So
Like, there's no reason to belittle anybody, and especially if they're genuinely curious or have genuine questions about
yes.
something they're unfamiliar with. You know
hmm
what I mean?
So it just
So
opens them up
okay.
and they become a bigger person for coming out and asking.
Yeah,
I get a
definitely,
lot of people
definitely.
in Yumi's
So what?
DMs that they'll try to DM her and then we get to talking and I'm like, and they want to get with her, they want to meet her, and I say, I'll be talking in her voice, so
Yeah,
it'll be as if they're talking to her. So I'll type as if I'm her
of
talking
course.
to them, and then they want to meet her and they say, "Can I get
Yeah.
some nudes?" I'm like, "Sure, you can look at all the nudes you want," and then I'll send them the link to where I purchased her from, so that they have the
Oh,
advertisement.
okay.
They're like, "Wait a minute," I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm a doll, by the way,"
Bo-
and they're like, "What?" And yeah, I have infinite amount of sisters. You can order this one. You can order any of the other body types that you want, and just throw my head on it, and there you go. And they're like,
yeah,
but some of them will stop, but the majority of them will get very curious and continue talking to me, and that's when I go from being the Yumi voice
yeah,
to being my voice, explaining the situation and how they
yeah,
can. But a lot of them are overseas, so they're in places where they can't get a doll. But in
yeah.
general, almost everybody that I've talked to, they end up getting a doll, and they'll post their pictures to me of their new doll, and quite a few of them have got this doll right here. Well, not her body, but something similar with this head. Yep, head number
Yeah.
36.
Okay. Okay. I was about to say, is that the name, or did you
So
name
when I bought her off the
Yumi?
website, her doll name on the website was Penelope. It has now been changed
Okay.
to Kimberly on the doll site. Um, but I
Okay.
named her Yumi.
Okay. That you have a preference for Asian?
Both my wives were black. So I married a Haitian. I have a preference
Hmm.
for petite black females. Um, I
Okay,
mean, I was
doing
raised.
that.
My father was black. All my family was black.
Okay.
I'm the lightest person in my family. I The white side, my mother is white, and she had blue eyes, blonde hair, and she was horrible. And her whole family disowned her and
Yeah.
had nothing to do with me when I was growing up because my father was black. So,
Ah, okay.
like on the inside, I feel like I am your complexion on the inside, even though I know what I look like on the outside.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I've come to terms with that. I came to terms with that a long time ago. Now, one of my other brothers, both of my other brothers, both of them talk about they treat black people like this and they treat us, and they always treat me like this because I'm black. And I'm like, dude, dudes, y'all are light. Y'all are light as me. Nobody looks at you and thinks you're black.
Yeah.
They look at you and think you're Mexican
Yeah.
or you're a darker white guy. No one would look at me and say, "Hey, that guy's black."
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
that's the way I was raised. I was raised in southeastern Iowa and St. Louis, Missouri. and that's where all my people are at in Missouri,
Okay.
in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And they're cool with her. Yeah,
Okay.
they're cool with her too. But it's I'm with her, and I chose this body style because, for one, the darker dolls, the black faces and heads they make for them,
Yeah.
they're not my style.
Yeah.
They're
Oh
not
no. Yeah.
really my style.
I
But
feel you.
I didn't always want to look at that
Hmm.
and be like, and then have the memories and the remembrance of my first two wives. And they're both like 5'1".
I
My
got you.
first wife was 5'1", 90 pounds when I married her, and my second wife was five
Hmm.
one, and she was like 110 pounds when I married her. So I've always liked petiter,
Okay.
thinner females.
Yeah.
And I was
Okay.
like, yeah, it
Yeah.
is, it is what it is, man. But I have her because
Yeah.
I didn't want to look at her all the time and be caught up in my thoughts of the past. I'm moving
Reminded.
forward.
Right. Right.
And she,
Okay. That's
so
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Looking at you, I honestly thought you were Mexican. Looking at you. And me myself, like
Yeah.
I'm mixed. Like my mother is Filipino and
Okay.
Spaniard, so my grandparents are all Spain, Philippines. So people look at me and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
black guy," but I'm really mixed. So I
Yeah.
feel you on that
There's
on that one.
you're deeper than what you are on the outside looking at. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, my man Z. Well, I've had enough. Well, I've taken enough of your time, man. If is there any shout outs or anything you want to give to listeners or viewers
Well,
out there?
I don't know if any of them might know you, but I say TFM on Odyssey.
Hmm.
He has saved my life because 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, I felt like my life was amounting to nothing. I didn't even want to exist anymore because I was going through that second divorce, kid taken from me, massive debt. I
Hmm.
was $177,000 in debt after a divorce, where I was up like 200 and something thousand. I had about $276,000. Then after the
Yeah.
divorce, I was negative $177,000 and hardly nothing. I had like five changes of
Oh
clothes
man.
and a car. Lost the house, lost the kid, lost
Mm.
all my money. Took out cash advances on my credit cards and everything. I was like, how am I going to come back from this?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but talking to him, finding my own self worth, figuring out who I was and who I want to be, where I want to go. And then once I figured that out, how to do it. What has been impeding me and what will impede me, cutting that out and moving forward. And TFM, I'm gonna put his whole name out here. Turd flinging monkey. That guy right there.
Okay.
He
Okay. On
well
Instagram
well
or
if you want to find him
.com?
on Instagram, you have to look up Celestina Monkey. Um
Okay.
he's his doll Instagram is what got me doing my doll Instagram. So Celestina Monkey.
Okay.
But he's not on YouTube. He's been kicked off of YouTube. He's been kicked off of almost all platforms because no one likes his message. His message is about empowering men and empowering yourself so that you can get out from under the
Mm.
thumb of government and the yoke, the slavery type yoke that the gynocentric society has placed us males under. So they've been trying to shut him out of everything. He just got shut out of a couple of more things last week. So the only place I know to find him is on Odyssey, MGTOW.tv, or Patreon. He hasn't been kicked off Patreon yet.
Okay.
We're all surprised at that.
Yeah, of course. I shoot. People pay for
Yeah.
that. That's why.
So, but yeah, that's about the only shout out I
Well,
have.
yeah.
I'll give a shout out to my man that saved my life.
Right on. I just have Yumi send me the link
All
in the
right.
messages so that way
And then
I
I
can
guess you
post it
can
in the
look her
show
up on her
notes.
Instagram at Yumi
But
K. Yumi underscore K at Instagram.com,
yeah,
and I'll send you the link for that too.
right on. There you go. Oh, you don't need
All
to.
right. Yeah.
I follow her. Well, Zenny, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time, you and Yumi, to come on here and just kind of bring out a not even a genre, just
Yeah.
a lifestyle that a lot of people live, but a lot of people don't want to
Hmm.
bring out. And I appreciate you for taking the time to
Well, I
do so.
appreciate your serious questions and your open mindset to this talk. I do.
Of course, man. We people got to take care
Hmm.
of people, and in order for people to take care of people, they got to be open to
Hmm.
learning new things. So that's just my whole mindset behind it. But thank you for your
You're
time, my
welcome.
man, and you and Yumi. I hope you have a good
We're
rest
gonna
of your
work on
day.
that. You too, man. Take care, brother.
All right, later. And there you have it, folks. Episode 35 of the YeahDat podcast with special guest Xen and his spouse, his significant other, Yumi, who is a realistic life-size doll. In the episode, Xen covers what it's like having a life-size doll as a significant other, the reasoning behind choosing a life-size doll vice a realistic person. We go through, some of the issues he has to deal with in regards to people coming up and asking why, or wanting to touch her, or wanting to feel her, etc., etc. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned a lot from this episode. I know I did. We kind of got a front seat ride, and we're kind of introduced to the world of realistic dolls and being included into that life of having a realistic doll. So you got to know what it was like. You got introduced to that world and seeing what it's like to have one as your spouse. So Xen, thank you for taking the time out. Yumi, thank you for taking the time out and appearing on the show, and letting everybody into your world and into your life. For those interested, you can follow Yumi's Instagram page at Yumi_Key. I apologize if I mispronounced that, Xen, but it's Yumi, YUMI_KE on Instagram. So give her a follow. You can slide in her DMs, shoot her a message. If you have any questions, get in there, shoot her a message, ask the questions, and she'll get back to you. And be sure to give her a follow. Be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at YeahDat Podcast. You can also follow me on Twitter at WestCoast_Rob. And if you would like to see the episode and see Yumi and see Xen, make sure you follow on YouTube at youtube.com/WestCoastRob. And you can see the actual episode, and you can see Yumi, and you can put a face to the voices that you hear. And you go from there. It was a great episode. Thank you again, Xen and Yumi. Thank you for listening. Be sure to rate the episode, like the episode, follow the show, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and you stay current with every episode, every short, every clip that is posted. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow on YouTube, and drop some comments on YouTube. I get back to every person who drops a comment on YouTube, so please be sure to follow the show on YouTube, and whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, please make sure you rate the show, you like the show, you follow, etc., etc. But that wraps up episode 35 of the YeahDat podcast. Thank you again for listening. Thank you, Xen and Yumi, for taking the time out to appear on the show. And until the next episode, this is the homie West Coast Rob signing out. YeahDat.